Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a really big international bestseller. It promises to, transform how you think and act. It's Mel Robbins' The 5-Second Rule. Action, confidence, and life transformation.
Hmm.
Our mission for this deep dive, it's really to unpack the most impactful insights from this tool. It seems remarkably simple, but, well, powerful.
Yeah.
It's a concept that promises to help you stop procrastinating, get more confident, and really take control of your life, one 5-second decision at a time.
Right.
So, okay, let's unpack this incredibly powerful idea. It promises to transform how you approach, well, pretty much everything.
And what's so compelling about the 5-second rule, I think, is how it tackles a struggle we all face, right? That frustrating gap between knowing what we should do
Oh, yeah.
and actually, doing it.
Yeah.
So this deep dive, it's going to reveal just how surprisingly simple and honestly profoundly impactful this rule can be.
Simple but profound. I like that.
And maybe even a bit counterintuitive in places. You might be surprised.
I think we definitely all recognize that gap, don't we? So let's jump right in then, the core of it all. At its heart, the rule is just incredibly straightforward.
Super simple.
You count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, then immediately take some kind of physical action. That's it. It almost sounds too simple.
It really does sound too simple. But that countdown, it isn't just random. It's a deliberate pattern interrupt.
Okay.
Think of it as like a brief window where your prefrontal cortex, that's the thinking, planning part of your brain, it gets a chance to override the amygdala.
The fear center.
Exactly, the part that generates fear and resistance.
Yeah.
It literally shifts your brain from autopilot, where all the excuses live, directly into action mode. It's kind of like launching a tiny rocket for yourself.
Yeah.
Just
Lift off. I love that analogy, a tiny rocket. And if it's about shifting out of autopilot, well, then it really confronts a common belief head on. So many of us feel like we need to feel motivated first, before we start something. But Mel Robbins makes this really strong case that motivation, it's highly overrated.
Oh, absolutely. Waiting around for motivation, that's a trap. It really is. Because your brain, well, it naturally resists change. It prefers comfort, the status quo.
Right. The easy path.
Exactly. So the rule helps you act before those excuses and fears can even fully form and, take root. The truth is, motivation doesn't kickstart the action.
Yeah.
No, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Action creates motivation. You just get moving. And that desire to keep going, it often follows.
And if action is what creates the motivation, well, then it really highlights the sneaky nature of what happens right before we act, that hesitation.
Yes.
It's kind of incredible how even a split second of pausing can just completely derail everything.
Any hesitation, it doesn't matter how brief. It gives your brain the time it needs to, talk you out of it. That's where the self-sabotage kicks in. And the 5-second rule, it's specifically designed to override that immediate internal resistance. It doesn't give the brain the luxury of overthinking or, fear-based analysis.
No time for it. That makes so much sense. And it brings us to a really powerful insight then. This idea that confidence isn't some inherent thing you're born with.
Right.
It's something you actively build through, brave actions. Most of us feel like some people are just born confident and others, aren't.
That's such a common misconception, isn't it? But confidence, it isn't a feeling you just wait for. It's more like a byproduct.
A byproduct.
Yeah, a byproduct of proving to yourself through these small, brave actions that you can do hard things. Every time you use the rule to push through fear or discomfort, maybe it's just saying hello to someone new or hitting send on that scary email.
Okay.
You're logging a small victory. And these little wins, they add up. They build this internal library of I can do its moments, reinforcing your own capability, your self-efficacy.
And I can do it library. I like that. And speaking of those crucial moments, it really emphasizes that you have this tiny, 5-second window to change your life. It's this fleeting, critical moment that can make all the difference.
Absolutely. There's this small, really precise window, just 5 seconds, between an idea popping into your head and your brain trying to kill it off with doubts or distractions.
5 seconds. Wow.
Yeah. And if you don't act in that exact window, the opportunity often just fades. Poof. The countdown helps you beat the hesitation and grab the moment before your brain convinces you otherwise.
So it's almost like a superpower against one of our biggest enemies, overthinking.
Totally.
This rule seems perfectly designed to just cut through that mental spiral we get into.
It really is. Overthinking is often just procrastination wearing a fancy coat. The rule acts as this powerful tool to just shut down that mental loop before it even gets going. It forces immediate decisive action. And that effectively quiets your inner critic before it has a chance to flood you with doubts and, sabotage what you wanted to do.
And that leads us to, I think, a really beautiful redefinition of courage. We often think of courage as this huge, grand, heroic act.
Right, like slaying dragons or something.
Exactly. But this rule suggests it looks, well, very different.
Yeah, courage isn't always loud or dramatic.
Yeah.
Often it's that quiet decision to speak up, maybe stand up for something, or simply to show up even when you're scared.
Mm-hmm.
And that moment of decision, it really only lasts a few seconds. The 5-second rule just serves as the trigger for it, helping you seize that moment. It's about like micro courage built up day by day.
Micro courage. Okay, so if it's about these quick micro moments of courage, does that mean we can really use this rule anytime, anywhere?
That's the beauty of it, yeah. The source material, the book, gives wonderful examples from the second you want to get out of bed in the morning.
The classic struggle.
Right. To speaking up in meetings, or even just saying no to junk food when you get that craving. It works for pretty much anything where you feel that internal resistance or that urge to hesitate.
Anything.
The key is just count down and move. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. It's like a universal push button for overcoming that internal friction.
The universal push button. And if it's that broadly applicable, it suggests something pretty profound, I think. You're always just one decision away from a better life. It implies that big changes don't necessarily require these massive, scary leaps.
Exactly right. Big change doesn't actually need these big, overwhelming moves. Usually it's built through a whole series of small, brave decisions that compound over time.
Like interest in a bank account.
Sort of. Like choosing to speak up in that meeting, or finally signed up for that online course, or applying for that job you've been looking at for months.
Right.
The rule empowers you to choose courage in those daily, often unnoticed small moments. And those lead to really significant shifts over time.
Okay, this next insight is genuinely surprising to me. And it's about how our body reacts. This idea that fear and excitement can feel strikingly similar.
Yeah, physiologically.
How does our body play tricks on us like that?
Well, your body's physical symptoms for both fear and excitement, the faster heart rate, maybe shallow breathing, feeling hyper-aware, they're remarkably similar.
Huh, okay.
So the rule helps you actively reframe that physical feeling instead of labeling it fear and backing away.
Which is the instinct.
Which is the instinct, yeah.
Yeah.
You can consciously label it as excitement and then step into the growth, into the opportunity. It lets you actively choose your emotional response to the physical sensations.
Actively choose. That's powerful. And I find it really compelling that Mel Robbins, she actually stumbled upon this rule during a really tough time in her own life. And that seems highlighted by how important morning routines became for her.
Yes, absolutely. One of her first and maybe most famous applications of the rule was just waking up with intention.
Getting out of bed.
Getting out of bed. The immediate action is the key. The moment your alarm rings, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and boom, up you go. No snooze.
No snooze, the dream.
Right. And it isn't just about getting out of bed. It's about winning that very first battle of your day, overriding the snooze reflex, instilling that bit of self-discipline right from the get-go. It sets a really powerful tone for everything else that follows.
That's a fantastic example of interrupting a habit, isn't it? So if it can break the snooze habit, what about all those other really stubborn habits we struggle with? Can you really change any habit with this rule?
Well, habits are essentially just deeply ingrained patterns, right? Repeated over time.
Yeah.
They become these like neural pathways in your brain.
Right.
The rule helps you consistently interrupt a negative loop by forcing a new response.
Yeah.
So by deliberately choosing to act differently, maybe it is just getting up or choosing to focus instead of procrastinate or avoiding some impulse. You start to weaken the old pathway and actually strengthen new beneficial habits. It's a very deliberate intervention in your brain's programming.
Deliberate intervention. And it seems like this rule isn't just about starting new actions, but also about pausing, gaining control over your reactions, especially when you might, snap or respond impulsively.
That's a really crucial application, actually, for self-control. Before you react negatively or maybe say something you'll regret.
We've all been there.
Oh, yeah. That countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it provides this vital pause. It's a micro moment for your higher brain functions to kick in. So instead of just an immediate emotional reaction, you insert a conscious breath, basically. It lets you respond thoughtfully, constructively, rather than just impulsively lashing out.
Which brings us, I think, to a feeling we all experience, that pervasive sense of just not being ready.
Yes, the I'm not ready feeling.
This rule seems to challenge that notion completely.
It really does.
Yeah.
The book makes a very powerful assertion. Readiness is basically a myth.
A myth.
Pretty much. Successful people, they don't wait until they feel ready. They just act. You will likely never feel truly ready to take a significant risk or launch that big project or step way out of your comfort zone. The rule provides that essential push to just move forward anyway, understanding that the momentum itself often creates the feeling of readiness after you start.
Momentum creates readiness. Got it. So after all these insights, it feels like the ultimate condition for this rule's effectiveness is incredibly simple, but also profound. It can be life-changing,
Absolutely.
but only if you actually use it.
Exactly. That's the core of it. Its power isn't in how complex it is, obviously, but in its consistent application. Just doing it.
Right?
And with repetition, practiced in those moments of fear or procrastination, laziness, anxiety, it genuinely transforms into a new way of life. Each time you use it, you're rewiring your brain, not just for that one action, but for a whole new mindset, one of proactivity, courage, empowerment. It's really a commitment to yourself, one
Right.
5-second decision at a time.
So to wrap up this deep dive then, Mel Robbins' 5-second rule, it's clearly far more than just some productivity hack.
Oh yeah, much more.
It's really about rewiring your brain for courage, for action, and for ownership in pretty much every part of your life, whether you want to break bad habits, become more confident, or finally start that project you've been putting off forever. This rule gives you that simple, immediate push you need to just get going.
And remember, change really does start with one small move, often just a single decision. So the next time you find yourself facing that moment of hesitation or, a decision you've been putting off, don't wait. Think about it right now.
Yeah,
Was one thing you've been putting off that you could use the rule on?
just one thing.
Just one. Try it just once today.
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And just see. Observe how it shifts your mindset and maybe opens up some new possibilities.